Hi, y'all. So you're back on here in another episode of the Indigo Podcast. And today I'll be talking about, the topic of the video is perception is everything. And I got a little definition here of what perception is according to Google. So, perception is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. I thought that was pretty interesting, and I thought it was a little addition to what I'm about to say about it. But I just think the way you perceive things changes the perspective of your whole life. Like if you perceive something as good or bad, that can change your thoughts around it and your actions, because your thoughts lead to your actions. And if you perceive something as bad, you might avoid it or be scared of it or have no courage to go after it. A warped or negative perception leads to excessive doubt, lack of courage, wishing for things you want to achieve, and just stagnation over a long period of time. While on the other end, an optimistic and hopeful perspective leads to less conflict within yourself and others, and a more positive outlook on life as a whole. It just makes you a better person overall to be around and for yourself and the way you carry yourself. But it's kind of an introduction. Words are hard. It's kind of an introduction to perception and kind of what the dictionary, the hard copy, the real definition of it is. And I think it really coincides with what, it really is in real life. Because, you need the ability to hear and become aware of things and be aware of what makes you tick and how you're going to go about something and how your mindset influences what you do and what you don't do in any type of situation. But other than that, first thing I'm gonna talk about is your perception of self rules all. Anyone can say, "Oh, you're this. You look like this. You act like this person." But at the end of the day, you know your intentions and you know what you're trying to do. No one else can really tell you who you are other than you, because you're you. Obviously, you know what you don't like. You know what you do like. You know your tendencies. You know what you do every day. You're the main person who sees everything. So no, who's mighty enough to tell you who you are as a person. I feel like this kind of goes with like for me, I'm on social media. So there might be people in the future, obviously, as, I get a wider audience. People are going to be like, okay, you're this, you're that. And it may be true, it may not be, but a lot of the time, those people are just saying based on what you've posted. They don't see your full life. It's just a snippet. So who are they to tell you who you are and who you aren't? It applies to people who are just around you too. People might say, oh, you're conceited. Oh, you're selfish. Oh, you're cocky. But they might not know the meaning and the intentions, and they might just not understand what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do, which is fine. I've stated that before. On this journey of, I guess, self-improvement and just seeing how far you can take this thing, people aren't always going to understand what it is you want, understand what it is you're doing. And that's okay. I don't think everyone needs to understand, because I feel like that's the power of it. It's kind of individualized to you and you only. And I don't think everyone has to, and you shouldn't expect everyone to understand, because it's not how it works. Not everyone's gonna understand, and the people that do understand, you should keep them closer to you, and y'all should both build each other up. But another thing about this too, people are just gonna dislike you. I've realized that too. Some people are gonna dislike your video, some people are gonna call you out your name, some people are just gonna hate your guts for no reason, and that's okay. Obviously, I've referenced the courage to be disliked, and one thing that really hone in is, you're going to be disliked. It's not to want to be disliked. That's not the goal. The goal of life isn't to go around screwing people over and doing things that make them want to dislike you. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, when it comes to time where someone is like, I don't like you, that's fine. You probably didn't do anything. I hope not. I hope you didn't burn the car or something. But I'm just saying, I feel like that's proof that you're doing the right thing, because you have people disagreeing with you and being kind of scared of what you're doing, because they're scared because their life isn't going the way they want it to, and they see someone finally doing what they want to do, so they feel antagonized. They feel fearful, oh my gosh, I have to attack this person because they're doing something that I don't have the courage to do. I feel like most of that's just a reflection of what they're going through, because they see that you're doing what they can't. Well, not can't. People can do anything, but just they're fearful of doing it, and they're scared of leaning into the unknown. So they're taking their anger and putting it on you, and that's just all it is. You have to take that for what it is and be like, okay, I'm probably doing something right, and just take that and pretty much ignore it and take it at face value for what it is. It's just someone projecting. That's really it. Obviously, people might dislike you for something you've done that you should correct, but most of the time, it's just people that just haters. Like they're low lives. They got nothing going on. They're in their basement. I mean, it's typical. They're just in a basement playing Call of Duty and FIFA all day, and they have nothing going for them. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, that's how you look at it. Like I'm probably doing something right, and they're just upset that their life isn't going the way they want it to. But overall, it's your job to be yourself and perceive yourself as who you want to be and who you're striving to be. It's your job to do that. No one else should be able to praise you and, put you on a pedestal and make it seem like you're all big and dandy if that's not who you really think you are. If you think you are that and you think, you're the best at what you do, that's good. But I don't think anyone else has the power of really putting that perception of yourself other than you. But perception of self rules all. I think that's the most important thing. I think a lot of people get tied into what people think of them. I have before, and sometimes people praising you. I'm not saying you shouldn't want people to praise you. I'm saying if that's all you look for, it's probably a problem, and you need to really evaluate how you perceive yourself as a person. But next thing, perception can turn a bad situation into a good one. I think like one scenario I think of, like it's a drab looking morning, it's gloomy, it's rainy, you gotta run, and you're like, crap, it's raining. It's going to be a little bit harder to get out there. And you're just thinking of every bad thing that could come to mind. And instead, if you have a better perception, a more optimistic and more open-minded outlook on things, you have the power to change the whole trajectory of that, change the whole scenario. Instead of you staying in bed and just wishing and waiting, you just do it anyway and go out there and do it, because there's no negotiating with yourself. That's what I'm gonna say. No negotiating with yourself. So you just get out there and get after it. And this could be like maybe your mom yells at you. You just be like, okay, maybe she's going through something. Maybe she has something going on in her life that I can't control. Just say okay and move on. Just be like, all right, maybe I need to give her some space, and maybe I can take this time to work on myself. I just think a lot of people, when hard things happen, because I think you grow when you experience hard things. I'm not saying every living second of your life needs to be filled with hard things, but I think every day you should do something difficult that challenges you and pushes you to the next level. But I just think a lot of people, they really just sulk in negativity, and that's the first thing that comes to their minds. I mean, when you think negative over and over and over again, it obviously becomes a habit, just like me running like pretty much 6 days a week. That becomes a habit. That becomes the standard. The standard for people that are negative becomes negativity. It's no positivity. It's just negativity. So that just becomes their standard and their complex in their mind. So when you constantly do that, anytime hard stuff hits the fan, first thing comes, I don't want to do this. This is gonna suck. I mean, if you're just gonna think like that, you're never gonna get anywhere. You're just gonna stay where your 2 feet are, stagnant, not going anywhere. But if you think, just hope, just a little ounce of hope, like a little ounce of hope that just look on the other side, like I'll build resilience, grit, and I'll really learn about myself and learn how far I can go in whatever modality you're doing. That'll take you much farther than just sitting there and soaking in negativity and not doing anything. And that'll become a complex and become who you are, which is scary. I mean, if you're just negative and you're pessimistic and you look for the worst of people and you perceive everything as bad, you'll slowly become that badness that you once didn't want to, take over you, and it'll just take over your whole life, and then life will just become miserable and you'll go nowhere. So, not saying every day you're going to look at, oh, it's potluck and it's rainbows and unicorns and daisies. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying most of the time when stuff happens, you should have the ability to pivot and think of, okay, what can I make the best out of this? And instead of just sitting in negativity and just sitting there and dwelling on things and being stagnant, honestly, and not getting what you want out of life. But I think it's really important. So obviously, like I just said, it's not always sometimes you're just gonna think this is gonna suck and this is painful. But I just think you learn from it, because obviously sometimes you might like clap back at someone when you don't really think about it. Like, let's say you're just arguing with a friend and you just say something you didn't mean. I think those are learning experiences. You learn that's not who I want to be. I don't want that to be stained on my legacy. I don't want that to be the person I become. And you take that and learn from it and then get better as a person. Because I mean, obviously, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Sometimes people just say some BS and you're like, bro, what are you talking about? You just clap back because it's just you're being reactive. I think it's human nature, but I think overall, what do you do consistently? Like as a person, like are you consistently positive and do you consistently get after? Or are you consistently stagnant? Are you consistently just doing nothing with your life? It's a complete difference. I'm not saying sometimes you might say something you didn't want to say, but you learn from it and you reduce the likelihood of you doing it again. But a good perception definitely overtakes a bad one, and it can change the whole trajectory of what you're trying to do. But the third one, a good perception of things often leads to courage. Because I think if you have a good perception, you're more open-minded and you're more willing to have the courage to take the first step forward and forge growth and do what you want. Because if you have a bad perception, I feel like it's kind of restrictive. Like it restricts you and it puts a ceiling on what you really want to do, and it puts a ceiling and it caps off your potential. So you just have a bad perception. The standard's so low. Like the stakes are so low. Like it's just you have everything to lose. It's just you think, okay, if I do this, this will happen. If I do this, it's kind of like paralysis by analysis. Like you think, okay, if I do this, what about this? What about that? What if this goes wrong? Instead of just looking, okay, what if? Like just what if this goes right? What if I come out on the other side? What if this just slowly becomes who I am and just becomes a standard? And then once you do that, you'll have the courage to really take the first initiative and get what you want out of life and get after it. Because if you just sit there, like I said, just sulk and do nothing, you'll get nothing out of that, and you'll never have the initiative or the drive to do the thing. And no matter if it's drawing your first painting or going out for your first run or shooting your first basket or scoring your first touchdown, you'll never have the courage to get out there and, really shoot for the stars or whatever, the corny stuff people saying, but you'll never have the capacity to really see what you can do and really get, because I think everyone wants to do something with their lives. It's just, you either have the courage to do it, the drive to do it, and the discipline to do it, or you don't. It's pretty simple, but I think everyone has the power to do it. It's just, you have to take the brush and paint your environment. No one else can take that paintbrush and do it for you. That's the hard thing about it. And I think that's what people really have to understand, because no one can tell you to eat healthy. No one can tell you to go out and work out. No one can tell you to talk to your friends and, be the best you can to them. No one can tell you to take care of your mother or anything. No one can tell you to do that. And I think a good perception of things and a good outlook honestly influences your actions and honestly influences the whole trajectory of your life and courage is a main part of that. I think courage is the main reason that people do things and get after and do things that they really want to do in life and really chase their dreams. Like I think it's a lot of stuff is corny, but it's real though. Like chasing your dreams and chasing your aspirations and chasing things that you never thought you could have been capable of, and then just making that the standard and who you are as a person. But I think courage and a good perception are hand in hand. They're twins. I think they go hand in hand and they're very, very close together. But the next thing I have here, I kind of mentioned this. Your perception may not always be positive. Like it's trial and error, just like anything else. Sometimes, which it should be rare, because obviously sometimes it may turn into every time, which might turn into always. So you want to make sure that that doesn't become a habit. But I'm just saying sometimes you're probably gonna get in an argument with your girlfriend or your friend or maybe your mom or your dad. It's bound to happen. Sometimes y'all are gonna butt heads and disagree. But I think the main thing is if you have a good outlook on life and what you have going for you, look like, okay, this isn't worth it. Let me step down and let them cool down. I'm not saying you won't argue, but I'm just saying it won't escalate. Because if you're looking at it in a bad way, you might be like, you know what, it's already gotten bad. I might as well just let the rails off and just let it happen. If you have a better perception, you might be like, okay, let me sit back and think about this before it gets worse and gets hectic and gets OD. Because if you don't, you could say some things that you regret, and you could end some really good relationships that you never wanted to end. So I just think, obviously, it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. The idea is not being perfect. It's just getting it done and getting better. I think it's the main thing. I think a lot of people, it's a little bit, not really off topic. It kind of goes into this, but it's just, I think a lot of people try and be perfect and try and get everything down to a T. The main thing is just being better. Just get better every day and learn things about yourself and learn how far you can go and whatever you're trying to do. Because not everyone, like I said, not everyone's going to run. Not everyone's going to lift. Well, everyone should lift. Running, cardio, do whatever you want. But I think everybody should lift. Anyway, it's not the point. But the whole point is the principles and the way you look at things. Every successful person, I think, kind of has similar aspects of how they look at things. Everybody's lens is different, but I think everybody looks at things in similar ways, like optimism, hope, faith, resilience, grit, just accepting things and embracing things when it gets tough. I think that's what everybody has in common. But I just think the whole goal and the whole gist of this is not to let the errors become who you are as a person, but just become a part of the process. Because errors are they're bound to any process, especially your perception. I mean, sometimes you may perceive something as bad when it's really good, or you might perceive something as good when it's really not the best for you. So it's just subjective to, the experience you're having at that point in time and that point in your life. And obviously sometimes when it's just someone just does some bull, like someone just does something stupid, your first reaction is just gonna be frustration and anger, which is completely okay. I think as humans, you have the right to be angry and frustrated at something, but I just don't think you should let it get to the point where it derails you and makes your life chaos and makes things way harder than it needs to be and makes situations worse than they need to be. And I just think you should let yourself feel that, but don't let yourself be that. Don't let yourself be an angry person. Don't let yourself be a chronically frustrated person that is just negative about anything and then just comments badly on everything that happens. Just embrace it, but don't let it become you. And I think all of it passes. Like, I think you should take the moment and feel that and be like, okay, I'm mad at this, or I'm frustrated. I'm mad. I'm upset that this didn't go the way I wanted it to. But at the end of the day, your overall perception will take over and drive your life in the way you want it to be overall. But I think you should feel anger and feel frustration with stuff, because stuff is not always going to go to plan, obviously, but just being okay with that and not letting it turn into a full outburst. I think that's the main goal. But this is the last thing I'm going to talk about here. And perception influences your mind, because like I kind of mentioned earlier, if you perceive things as bad and you're a pessimistic person and you just think everyone's out to get you, and you think, oh, woe is me, oh, why is this happening to me, and why is this not, like, instead of thinking why is this happening to me, you should think, why, like, okay, what is this going to do for me? Like, why is this happening for me? Like, what is this going to do for me? Instead of thinking, okay, why is this happening to me out of all people? Because obviously there's some unfortunate things that happen to people. A lot of the things I think that happen in life is just stuff that you can maneuver around, and you have a say-so in it. Some things are out of your control. Like maybe someone rear ends you and you're driving. You have no control over that. But let's say, I don't know, you start to gain weight and you're like, oh, woe is me. Like, why am I gaining weight? Just, take control of it and, get to a healthier weight and, eat healthier, move more caloric balances, thermodynamics, and you have control over that. But certain things you may not have control over, and that's okay. But you still have to, it's still your responsibility to navigate that and do the best with what you have, do the best with the tools you have. Because I think at the end of the day, I heard this in the Courage to Be Just Like, you don't control, it was somewhere along the lines of this, you don't control the tools you get, you control the way you use them. Because your family might be a little messed up, you might not have the best car, you might not have the best shoes, you might not have the best backpack, I don't know, but you can choose a way to make those greatness and make those gold. You have the full authority, and it's your full responsibility to choose how you use those and how you elevate from there. It's no one else's responsibility, but obviously it's not your call as to who's your mom and dad and sister. You can't choose that. That's just genetics and who has babies. I mean, at the end of the day, what you do with your life, your family, and your whole family tree and your culture, they can't choose how you are, and they can't choose what you do. But another thing that comes to mind with perception, how it influences your mind, is body dysmorphia. Because if you know what body dysmorphia is, let's say you perceive yourself as overweight and you're really pretty lean and pretty fit, that's going to become your identity, and that's going to become all you think about, even though that's not reality. That's just a fragment of your mind. So you're just thinking, oh, I'm overweight, oh, I'm big, and whatever. I'm not. It's kind of offensive, so I don't want to go in the book, but you know what I mean. You're just a little bit bigger. So if you perceive yourself that way, that'll become who you are. On the other hand, more bright and fulfilling. More bright and fulfilling perception of things. I don't know why I just butchered that, but a more bright and fulfilling perception of things, that'll become who you are, and that'll just bring things to you and help you look at the good in things instead of the bad. But It'll just promote a more promoting. It'll promote a more positive and growth promoting environment as a whole, instead of just looking at things objectively bad and really perceiving things a certain way when it's really not reality. But I think perception can either make you and break you and prevent you from achieving greatness, because you perceive something as it's the worst thing in the world and I can't go anywhere and I'm just stuck and I'm so miserable. You'll become that. But if you perceive yourself as a winner, a leader, someone who strives for greatness and holds the standard, you'll slowly become that. Obviously, you need to do some actions and get after it too, but your perception really drives your actions and your mindset and your whole standard. And just, it sounds kind of weird, but your aura around things, like just the way you appear to others. Obviously, I mean, how you appear to others is important, but I don't think how they perceive you should derail how you perceive yourself. But I think you should just be yourself, and you'll appear to others how you really are as a person. But perception influences your mind for sure. It definitely determines your mindset around things. It determines how you look at life, and determines your actions as a whole, like I said in the beginning. But last thing I'm gonna do with this episode, I'm gonna leave y'all a little saying. So it's just one saying I've had in my mind, because I've experienced something, like some things this week. Like what's one thing? Like, it was like I don't know why I was mad at it, because this is the thing. Like, some things just make, like, kind of tick you off a little bit, but like I said, most of the time you don't want to make these like a reoccurring thing, because this becomes who you are. But sometimes stuff happens. But we were running across country and it rained like the day before, so we went on the bayou and it was really muddy and we were slipping and sliding. And like, my first reaction was, oh crap, like, what's going on? So, I'm kind of slowing down so I can navigate around it. And at a certain point, my coach was like, hey, let's turn around. I'm like, I think I said out loud, like, we shouldn't even came here. Like, there's no point in even coming here. And it wasn't really that big of a deal. Like, we were still running. Like, I'm still going to get it in the run. It's just like, that was my initial reaction. And I thought about that. I'm like, I don't want that to be who I am. So I corrected it. But I think it's okay. Like, I don't think you should beat yourself down about it. I mean, it's just, sometimes stuff happens and that's just your initial reaction. But I think the problem is when that becomes, like I said, I keep saying, the problem is when that chronically becomes who you are as a person. But anyway, that kind of went along with the statement I'm about to say, or quote, or whatever you're going to call it, mantra I'm about to say. But I just wanted to say that just to let y'all know experiences that I've had with it, and let y'all just be vulnerable and real about it. Because I think if I share my experiences, it can help y'all realize that we're all in this together. We all have the same opportunities. It's just who wants to get after it the most, and who wants to achieve things that they never thought they were capable of, and really hold their own standard and lead other people. But this is saying I want to leave y'all with: can you be the same person with the same standards when BS hits you across the face? Because sometimes it's just gonna be bull. Like, some bull just gonna smack you right across the face, and they're gonna be like, okay, what are you gonna do about it? Like, you can either be reactive or proactive and think about it and sit and think and be aware of what's really going on, or you can just fall into that and just lose your mind and go be a belligerent person. So I just think that's a really good thing people can think about and really keep in their mind when stuff hits the fan. Because like I've said plenty of times, stuff will hit the fan and life will get hard at some point, and it should. That's how you learn, and that's how you endure a process, and that's how you really see what you're made of, and if you really are who you say you are. But it's episode 32. It's talking about perception. I think a lot of people, their mindset and perception of things are out of whack. And I think if they really change the way they perceive things, they can really achieve more things that they really want to do. Because I think everybody wants to achieve things. Everybody wants to go somewhere in life. But just having the courage to do it, and having the discipline and the will to do it over and over again consistently. So that's episode 32. And I'll see y'all next time.